So in the USA, we've largely been focused on Cardinal Blaise Cupich of Chicago, Bishop Michael Martin of Charlotte, North Carolina, and Archbishop Weisenberger of Detroit as those most hostile to the Latin Mass. Well, it turns out we have a new player in the mix, and that is Bishop Daniel Garcia. So let's take a look at what happened and then what people on X are saying about the TLM suppression. So Bishop Garcia is originally from Texas, and he rose through the ranks of the church to eventually become the auxiliary bishop of the Diocese of Austin in 2015. Pope Francis would then send him to serve as the bishop of the Diocese of Monterey, California in 2019. For years, the Latin Mass community had used an old chapel in a cemetery near Salinas to hold Mass, but they moved in 2016 to Sacred Heart Church in Hollister. And this went on without incident for years. After Pope Francis issued his 2021 motu proprio, Traditionis Custodes, Bishop Garcia didn't move right away to ban the TLM. In an official July 2021 letter to priests and deacons, Bishop Garcia said he was reviewing the motu proprio and waiting for guidance from the USCCB and the Holy See. This effectively granted the Sacred Heart Latin Mass community a continuation. Then, on July 2, 2025, Pope Leo XIV announced the appointment of Daniel Garcia as the new Bishop of Austin. He was set to become bishop on September 18th. So 4 days before that, on September 14th, Bishop Garcia issued a letter to the Latin Mass community at Sacred Heart Church. The letter ordered that after October 13, 2025, the TLM cannot be celebrated at Sacred Heart Church any longer. One of Garcia's concerns expressed in the letter was that the pastor should be able to give full attention to the entire parish, rather than splitting his time for a small group attached to the TLM. This letter frames the decision as an effort to, quote, strengthen our unity with the universal church. So this is kind of wild, right? Of course, we've seen this before, but not from an outgoing bishop. Why he wouldn't leave that up to his replacement is beyond me. Okay, so on September 18th, he's installed as the Bishop of Austin. And this story just came out this past Friday about how a Latin Mass that was scheduled to be held on the Texas A&M campus was canceled, based on an order from the diocese. Now, the diocese is saying that this Mass did not receive permission, so this very well could just be a clerical error. But I think it's safe to say what's to come in the Diocese of Austin. The St. Mary Cathedral currently holds a weekly Mass, and I'm guessing that Bishop Garcia is going to bring an end to that, again using unity as the justification. Okay, so what are Catholics on X saying about this? This user said, ironically, Novus Ordo parishes offering 4 to 5 Masses each Sunday in every vernacular language possible does more to segregate parishes than allowing the TLM, which demonstrably draws people from all ethnic groups and tongues who can worship together. Traditionis Custodes causes division, not unity. So I've been saying this for a long time. Back when we had the Latin Mass as the norm, all people could worship together. You could go to a Mass in Brazil and get the same thing you could get at home. The Novus Ordo has undoubtedly caused separation based on ethnic lines. Another user said, unity is a noble goal, but is suppressing the TLM really the path to it? True unity should embrace, not erase, the richness of our tradition. So this sentiment is exactly right. We're a church that claims to have a big tent. We'll allow for the Amazonian rite and the Zaire rite and preach universalism as a way to try to appeal to people of other faiths. However, this unity is not extended to Catholics who want to go to the Latin Mass. They're told to either go to the Novus Ordo parish or go home. And the result is the exact opposite of unity. It drives Catholics to the SSPX, who have been tremendously growing over the last decade, with families flocking to St. Mary, Kansas, because they're looking for a certain level of reverence in the liturgy. I also see lots of comments online that basically say, I've never been to a Latin Mass, but all these attempts to ban it make me want to check one out. It's almost like the Streisand effect. The Vatican has drawn lots of attention to the TLM by cracking down so hard on it. I think this has made regular lay Catholics start to pay attention. And I gotta say, I've been disappointed with how the Pope has responded when asked about the future of the TLM. I think the best move would have been to publicly declare that all dioceses have an extension to continue the Latin Mass while he decides what's in store for the future. Because I see it as a big deal when a church community is broken up. So let us pray for the Pope and for the bishops and for all the lay Catholics who have been displaced. Thanks for watching.